Hello. Once again, hello, and it's hello from him, and it's hello from me. And again, we're back on working with the bag. We've looked at some other stuff. We're back on working with the bag. Yes, we're going to go out in a minute. And now we're going to look at, we looked at the jab, now we're going to look at, come on you. But we start in exactly the same way, so we get the arms straight like that and position the body. And then we think about, well, we want at the hip point for the jab, even though we're working on cross, at the hip point, we want the arm to be kind of bent like that. So we just change our position, our foot, and then we pull back, and we can see again how close the posture actually is. But obviously the cross has got to go further. This is our start point, and we begin in exactly the same way, and we still remember hitting to our own head height. And we start off just very relaxed with the hit and stop. Like that. Super relaxed at first. Just get the feeling. Doesn't matter how many you do. Do as many as it takes. You know, depends how fast you want to learn, doesn't it? Do as many as you need to do. But once we've got that, we'll do it from the other side as well. And remember, what we're trying to do is get exactly the same posture that we have when we do it on the air. So we're feeling for that first. Take away, we don't want too much hitting in force at first, because we just want to, it's quite distracting knowing that you're hitting an object. It changes the way that you do the posture, and we don't want that. We've practiced it perfectly on the air. If necessary, video yourself doing it on the air and then video yourself doing it on the bag. Compare and contrast. Don't worry about this idea of not practicing in the mirror and stuff like that. Video yourself and just check the difference in the postures. But what we want most of all, and this is why there's a taboo on training in a mirror, does it feel right? Does it feel right? Letting the bag tell you, does it feel right or not? So very light at first, and just getting the exact same posture that we do on the air to the hip stop point. And then we just bring it up to that. Remember, it's all about maintaining body consistency. We bring it up to just slightly more power. We want it to bring it up just to the point where the weight of the bag feeds back into the back foot, and we can feel that. So I can just about feel that go through my body and into the routine foot like that, and we hit and stop. Just bringing up, you can play with the power levels yourself. I just brought it up like about 10% in terms of power level. That feels just exactly right for me. It's the exact amount of, like, I want to feel the weight of the bag push back into the body and force the body to form itself more accurately into the configuration. Something that we absolutely can't do just by punching the air or a hand or a cotton ball or even a pad. We need the very weight of the bag itself. And again, the other way. And look at all these things, no movement, just like when we're standing, only we've got this posture like that. We say like a pencil would just slip out. This actually is a zhuang in itself, that you practice like this. And the idea is you could just have a bird, and you got hold of its legs, and it could just about can't fly away, but like that. And just like we're standing, the very thought of hitting the bag immediately starts bringing tension into the body. So these are the kind of things that we're working on and training out. The thought, the trigger to punch creates all kinds of excess movement in the body. It creates tension. It creates moments where you think, oh, I should have gone then, I was going to go but I didn't go, all this kind of stuff. It's astonishing how much goes on and how useful it is just to practice like this from our Zhanzhuang posture, completely still, and then straight into the movement. So much is learned from doing this. Keep looking forward at the target. And although it sounds daft, I mean, let's just have everything said, you know, like, you don't necessarily want to focus directly on it. You don't want to be doing too much work in terms of focus. You can look right through the target. That allows the eyes to relax more and just take everything in. Don't worry about the focusing. With my eyesight anyway, I can't. Keep seeing all these things like Zhanzhuang makes your teeth grow back and your hair turn black again and eyesight improve. I have to say that. None of those things have happened. I think the people who say things like that don't actually practice Zhanzhuang. It's just like it's like saying what you need to say to be in the cult. I think it's that, being completely honest. So completely relaxed, no pull back. And it's a bigger movement than the jab, so this is more difficult ask. Jab, you can just do a little thing. Here, you feel the trigger, like the trigger to move. I know it sounds mad, but you actually feel that in the posture, and it feels too big, and it feels like you've not triggered it in an efficient way. So just working through all of that. And it makes it harder. Knowing that feeling is there makes it harder to trigger the movement from relaxation. Work through all of that. You'll know what I mean. If you feel it, you'll know exactly what I mean. It's quite hard to put into words. Just check these bad habits. When everyone starts like that, you're kind of looking down, but look up at the target. Go quite relaxed. Hit and stop. And remember, to trigger it, movement on the left begins on the right. Pull this hand back first. Like that. Phase the shoulders in. Look at that. We'll look at that more later. But phase the shoulders into the relaxed movement like that. It's not just mechanical round like that. You see people punching like this. And you can get power like that. I'm not saying someone couldn't spark you out like that. It's not each one. It's not. You need phased movement. Phased movement. So you like this kind of. There's a phase between this just isn't mechanical like that. There's a lot going on with the movement of this axis across the shoulders. You can look at that another time. So, hit and stop. Hit and stop. If you take a little bit longer between punches, you really start getting the effect, the mental effects of the trigger, where you trigger to move. You really start feeling the effect of like the yips, where, you know, a professional dart player can't let go of the dart. Something that like professional dart players have to be treated for it. Like they try to throw the dart, but they can't. You get the yips, you just can't go. So the longer you hold it for, and it's random. When am I going to trigger it? Because it's random, you get this kind of feeling of excitation, like when am I going to do it? And you have little moments like where you're almost going to do it, and then you just tell yourself not to. And there's little like micro movements in the body, and it's just like mental induction when we're practicing Zhanzhuang. It's exactly that, and you'll feel it when you do this. Just hold, 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 and go. So practice like that, but also practice just like vary the practice with this. So don't just practice like that. Sometimes just go up to the hit and stop. Practice 8 like this. Like that. Practice 8 both sides, and then practice 8 like hold, with a fairly uniform amount of time between each one. So it's training everything down into the root. When I'm hitting, I'm training the whole structure of the root, everything is being trained. At the same time as I'm training the mental stuff around the trigger of the movement, training distancing and distance awareness. Everything changes when you hit a target. So next, when you've done 8 either way, then do just vary the time. Sometimes hold for longer. See, like, if you think about the movement and then don't go, you have a little twitch like that, like, you're gonna go. And vary and do 8 either way. And that's also, I mean, it needs serious medical research, but like I really suffered really badly with twitches, with Tourette's when I was a kid. Well, I mean, still, like, you can never get rid of it, but like twitching and ticking, this is one of the ways that I eventually got it under control, being able to do this. And sometimes, like, I have to kind of, I think I said before, I have to do this kind of thing. Like, I'll be in a meeting at work and I'll be like, kind of doing a zhuang or something like that to just try and control the urge to tick. But this kind of thing, being very mindful, what really worked for me with Tourette's was being really, really mindful of the twitches through zhuang, just being really mindful of it. Not ignoring it, not trying to forget about it, but focusing on it and being totally mindful of the urge and controlling it. This is a very similar, for me it feels very similar. Like, if I stand like that and I'm going to go at any point, it's like the urge to punch. And there's little aborted ones where you're going to go for it and you don't, and there's a little twitch. And then you go. And you think, like, well, you know, that's over-determined why you want that. You want to erase all unnecessary movement from the punch, for one thing. You want to focus on the perfect movement. But also in the chaos of a reality of a fight, you know, there's no such thing as a perfect movement, and of course you're moving. But what you want is, when you see the target, actually when your intent spots the opportunity, and that's a problem. The problematic of the intent, the thing that the intent needs to engage and solve, is how do I hit that target? When it sees the opportunity, it just goes, and you don't have the yips or anything like that. That very common phenomenon in sparring where you're like, oh, I could have hit him then. So, oh, why didn't I hit him then? And then when you're playing it back in your mind afterwards, it was like, oh, you know, it was open then and I didn't go for it, and like I just didn't have then the target had gone. You can't be consciously thinking about that. Your conscious mind is too slow. It's the intent. So we're training that ability just to go. So the next thing we do is exactly the same thing, just like with the jab. Instead of hit and stop, we bring it back, like, and relax back. You know, I was saying in the jab video, don't be careful of hitting a swinging bag. If it's swinging like this, that's not too bad. And what happens then is it's at different distances, and it's micro adjustments in terms of how the configuration is stacked, what we call stacking. You have to stretch out a little bit forward, you have to curtail the movement a little bit more. So that can also be very useful. So from this side, hit and then relax back. Don't pull back fast yet, just relax. What we want from this posture is what we call the somatic bounce, which I can't remember which order the videos are in, but I may have mentioned it before. If not, we're going to talk about it in great depth across a number of videos. And that's the point where when you hit and all the muscles bounce forwards and then they come back, they bounce back, and you move with that movement. So the natural recoil of the movement, we can call it at the moment. That's what we want when we train in this version of this. Just natural recoil. The energy of the hit just pushes you back onto the guard position. We want 8 either way, and again we do them like just 8, and then with the standing, regular intervals, relax, and go, and then longer periods of just standing, and then go. So next we want, again, a little bit sharper, a little bit more impact on the movement. And I'll do it this way. So we want it, and pull straight back. You use the energy to bounce straight back into the posture. This is a very important concept that links into our idea of, I have talked about it before, the somatic bounce. The use, Yao Zhongzong talks about the relaxation of the shoulders. For example, we can change into a different posture or something like that with the timing of the bounce of the muscles. So that's exactly what we want when we pull back into the. And we see a slightly different thing here. So when we do it on the air, and we use the somatic timing to bounce us back into another posture, that's slightly different when we do it on the back, because we can use the energy of the hit, a lot of the energy that we would need if we stop on the air, the hit and stop, to pull back. That requires more effort on the air because most of the energy is stopped by the bag when we do it on the bag. It's easier to pull it straight back and use that energy to pull back on the bag. That's what's actually meant by the idea of hitting something like it's really, really hot in each one. It doesn't mean, for example, that you should hit like with no penetration in the punch. It means exactly this use of, if you were to put your hand on something hot and you pull it back like that, it's that feeling. You use the energy of the bag itself like to push you back like that, but you contain the movement in a much more structured way. So yeah. And we do 8 either way like that. I'll show you what it looks like from the other side. So again, movement begins on this, so think about it. And this is also something you can practice on the back. Pull back first into the movement. It just goes around like, you know. So you get it all in one phase. And it's phased like this. It's phased, it's not just robotic. Phased movement into the like that. You can do it hit and stop like that, that's no problem. Even if you do it like, you know. So you can practice both. You can practice using the somatic movement to pull you back, and also the phase pulls you back like that, pulls you back in like that. Or you can just use hit and stop into the punch like that. And you just practice it like that. Three different phases of doing it, or 4 maybe. Just very relaxed at first, just to check that you're bringing it in from the hitting on the air, and you're not losing anything just mentally because of the idea that there's a target to hit. Then you start hit and stop, just enough feedback from the weight of the bag feeding back into the body to test the structure and to make it knit together. Then you start bringing it up into that, but relax back, and that's teaching you to use the energy of the bag to relax back into the somatic timing that pulls you back, and then you bring it either into like not full power. Again, it's about what we're trying to learn here is how to maintain structure and consistency. So if we just do it full power, we lose that data. It just gets blurred out by the power of the movement. This is why I'm saying you've got to be really, really disciplined about it. Put in all the basic work. Be really, really disciplined. I know if you start feeling like you can hit with power, you always want to just do that. You get caught in the loop of doing that. You've got to go back and work on make sure that everything's right. Make sure you're genuinely at the 95% point before you move on to the next thing. But then bringing it up to either like not full power, just sharp. And the thing here is the far lead round the axis. You're trying to get the far lead round the axis combined in with the consistency and the structure. That then becomes an issue of timing, because you can see like if I do it slow like that, you can just see there's a slight difference obviously between when the far lead goes to initiate the movement and when the strike hits like that. Like if you do it slowly like that, it looks like it's all one movement. So that's the danger of doing it like that. And like I said, every training method has got its drawbacks and its positives. So the positives here is all those things about checking the structure. The drawback is in reality, like when you far lead around the axis, that's really, really fast. And getting it when the punch hits is slightly later than that very fast movement around the axis. No matter how fast you get the overall posture, it's always just slightly later, just like a microsecond. It's not quite the same. Like, it's what later on we'll discuss as like a dynamic lock point or a dynamic hit point, that everything changes when you start hitting with real power and speed. Even the footwork changes in ways that's like, it's the energy of the, say, a pivot route or something like that, nevertheless lifts you right off the floor and things. Everything changes when you start hitting with power. This is why I always said, like, achievement is an enemy in Yiquan, because people get caught at certain levels of achievement and they think, that's it. Moving on into hitting with power is not something that we ever really see in Yiquan. Show me, really, where's the video of someone using Yiquan principles to really hit a bag full contact? There just aren't that many, you know. There are some, there aren't that many other than the ones that I put out. Everything changes. So, okay, all the stuff that we usually see is just testing structure. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's all the things that I've talked about. But when you bring it into, even not just full power, just speed, when you bring it into hitting with speed and things, everything changes around the timing of the structure, the timing of the Farley and so on. You don't need like a physics degree or something like that. You just need to do the exercises and the body will just learn that really, really easily and naturally. But it won't unless you actually follow the progression. But you have to follow the progression, because if you just go straight into the hitting with Farley, you'll lose the other structural elements that you try to work on. You'll lose all the feedback from the bag that makes the structure knit together into a posture like that. I think that's enough. I don't need to over egg it. You know, there's enough there to just practice with and work on, along with everything else that we're looking at. So that's it. Are you going to jump that barrier? Come on then. He doesn't dare do it. I'll get him instead. He's so bursted to be on the camera, aren't you, love? That's it. That's it. One love. Goodbye from me. Goodbye from him. Keep working, keep training, and leave a comment if you're finding the videos useful. That really helps to know that there's people out there benefiting. Thanks very much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Right, okay.